throwaway because my sister knows my main account and Lord knows I need some objective opinions right now. So here I am, female, 34, trying to balance being a single mom to two amazing kids, Emma, 8, and Noah, 5, working full-time as a nursing assistant, and taking night courses twice a week to hopefully get a better job someday. And honestly, I'm drowning. My ex is now 3 months behind on child support. Shocking, I know. And I've had to pick up extra weekend shifts just to make sure we have groceries and can keep the lights on. I live in this tiny 2-bedroom apartment that costs way too much, but it's close to their school, and I sleep on the pull-out couch so they can each have their own room. My daughter is getting to that age where she needs privacy, and Noah has a lot of energy, lol. Anyway, so about 6 months ago, my younger sister, Amber, female, 29, got engaged to this guy, Trevor, whose family literally owns like half the car dealerships in our state. They're loaded, like loaded. And I'm happy for her, I really am. But Amber has always been my parents' favorite. That's not me being bitter. It's just a fact everyone in our family knows but nobody talks about. Quick example, when we were teenagers, Amber got a brand new Honda for her 16th birthday, while I had to work at Kroger for 2 years to save up for this crappy used Chevy that broke down like every other month. My dad would fix Amber's car the second it made a weird noise, but told me I needed to learn to handle my own problems when mine wouldn't start. Whatever. Ancient history, right? I don't actually hate Amber or anything despite all that. We used to be pretty close when we were kids, and she was actually really supportive during my divorce 3 years ago. She even let me and the kids crash at her place for a month until I could find our apartment. So we've had our good moments, I guess. So Amber announces her engagement with this elaborate photo shoot that she posted everywhere and tagged me with, "Can't wait for my big sister to stand beside me on my special day," before actually asking me to be a bridesmaid, lol. Classic Amber move. But I was touched and said yes because despite everything, she's still my sister and I love her. The wedding plans keep getting more and more extravagant. Like, she literally changed venues 3 times because each one wasn't perfect enough. Now there's talk about releasing doves and having ice sculptures, and I'm just like, okay. She and Trevor keep saying they're handling all the costs themselves, which honestly surprised me because even though Trevor's family has money, that's a lot. But here's where everything went sideways. Last month, Amber sends out invitations for her bachelorette party. Not a weekend trip like a normal person, but a 10-day trip to freaking Greece that would cost each person about $3,000 plus spending money. I nearly had a heart attack seeing that number. I texted her right away explaining that I was so sorry, but there was just no way I could make this work. I can't afford it, can't take that much time off work, especially during school year. And who would watch my kids for 10 days? I told her I was still so excited for the wedding, though. She called me immediately. At first, she sounded disappointed, but understanding. But then the conversation went downhill fast. She asked if my parents could watch the kids or help pay for my trip. I told her they have their own lives, and I didn't want to be a financial burden on anyone. She got mad and said it's only 10 days and everyone else was making it work. I apologized again and suggested maybe video calling during part of it, but she cut me off. She said this was her special time and couldn't believe I was doing this to her. When I tried to explain again, she wasn't having it. She told me if I'm not there for her bachelorette, don't bother coming to the wedding either. Then she hung up on me, like actually hung up. I spent the next few days trying to reason with her, sending these heartfelt texts explaining that I want to be there, but my situation just doesn't allow it. Her responses were basically, everyone has problems. You're just not trying hard enough. I called my mom hoping for some support. I know, what was I thinking? And she just told me I should figure it out because family comes first and your sister only gets married once. Thanks for the help, Mom. If I'm being totally honest, and I feel like a terrible person saying this, part of me is jealous of Amber's carefree life. She's never had to worry about money, never had to choose between paying the electric bill or buying school supplies. But at the same time, I feel guilty for not being more supportive of her wedding stuff, even though I know my reasons for not going to Greece are 100% valid. I'm torn between my responsibility to my kids, who have to come first, and my relationship with my sister. Sometimes I catch myself wondering if I'm being selfish for not taking out a loan or asking friends to spot me the money, but that would be insane, right? I'm already behind on my car payment this month. My parents have called me 3 times this week with helpful suggestions, like leaving my kids with neighbors or using vacation days I don't have. It's like they're living in an alternate reality. The worst part, I found out from my cousin that Amber's been telling everyone in the extended family that I don't care enough to come to her bachelorette. Now I'm getting these weird messages from aunts and uncles about making sacrifices for family. My cousin Taylor, who's close to both of us, privately told me she thinks Amber is being completely unreasonable, but won't say anything publicly because she doesn't want to get uninvited too. Am I wrong for prioritizing my kids' needs over my sister's wedding extravaganza? I've barely slept this week worrying about the family drama. I already bought this bridesmaid dress that I could barely afford, had to skip lunch for 2 weeks to save up, and now I might not even get to wear it. I just don't know what to do. I feel like no matter what choice I make, I lose. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened in the 2 weeks since my last post. First, thank you so much to everyone who commented. I honestly didn't expect that many people to care about my situation, but reading your comments made me feel like I wasn't crazy for once. So anyway, I thought things couldn't get any worse, but surprise, they did. So last Sunday, I couldn't go to this monthly family dinner thing because Noah had a fever. He's fine now, just a virus. My cousin Taylor called me afterward and told me we needed to talk. She told me she overheard my parents talking to her parents about wedding expenses, and my parents are paying for Amber's entire wedding. Like the whole thing, over $50,000. And not just that, they're also covering the Bachelorette trip to Greece for Amber and her 3 closest friends. I was so shocked. Noah was watching cartoons in the other room while I tried to process this. Because this whole time, Amber has been acting like she and Trevor were paying for everything themselves. And here's the thing. Just 3 weeks ago, my car's transmission completely died. I literally begged my parents for an $800 loan, not even a gift, a loan, because without my car, I can't get to work or take the kids to school. And they told me they were tight on money right now and suggested I take the bus instead, the bus that runs like once an hour and would mean I'd have to wake the kids up at 5 a.m. instead of 6:30. I was crying on the phone and they just didn't care. I ended up having to put the repair on my emergency credit card that I've been trying so hard to pay down. So now I'm paying ridiculous interest on top of everything else just to be able to get to work. I mean, this shouldn't surprise me. When I got married 9 years ago to my ex, they gave us $2,000 and made this big speech at the rehearsal dinner about how they don't believe in extravagant weddings and how marriage isn't about the party. Heading. We had a super small wedding at a community center, and I wore a dress I found on clearance. I wasn't even bitter about it until now. Oh, and last year they helped Amber with the down payment on her condo, like a substantial amount. At the time, I tried to be happy for her because I thought maybe they were in a better financial position now than when I was younger. But now I'm realizing they've just always favored her. I spent like the next 3 days going back and forth about whether to confront them. Part of me just wanted to ignore it because what's the point? It's just going to make more drama before the wedding and everyone will blame me. My ex used to always say I have this annoying habit of swallowing my feelings to keep the peace. Probably the only thing he wasn't wrong about, lol. But then last week, Emma's teacher sent home a note saying she needs glasses because she's squinting to see the board. And Noah's school announced this field trip that costs $50. And then I found myself skipping dinner for the 3rd night in a row so my kids could have enough food, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I waited until the kids were doing homework, and I called my parents. My mom answered all cheerful and asked about the kids without even waiting for an answer before talking about her garden. I finally managed to interrupt her and told her I knew they were paying for Amber's entire wedding and bachelorette party. There was a long silence, and then my dad got on speakerphone. He didn't even deny it, just asked who told me and said it was none of my business. I reminded them about begging them for help with my car just a few weeks ago. My mom said that was different because I'm an adult with responsibilities. When I pointed out that Amber is 29, my dad said my sister doesn't have children dragging me down. That's what he said about Emma and Noah, like they're some kind of burden instead of his grandchildren. My voice was shaking so bad at this point, and I told them I've been skipping meals so my kids can eat. They got really quiet for a minute. Then I just let it all out. The car they bought Amber when we were teenagers, while I worked at Kroger for mine. How they paid her entire college tuition while I'm still paying loans. The down payment for her condo. And now funding this ridiculous wedding while I'm struggling to keep the lights on. My mom tried saying they never meant to make me feel less important, and I just couldn't handle it. I told them I wasn't expecting them to cancel Amber's wedding or anything, but I just wanted them to acknowledge the disparity. They couldn't help me with $800 for essential transportation, but they can fund a Dove release. My dad suddenly said they needed to go and would think about what I said. My mom promised they'd call back the next day. They didn't call the next day, or the day after that. But Amber texted me, "Way to make my wedding about your problems." So obviously they called her immediately after getting off the phone with me. Cool. I don't know if I did the right thing. My friend Maria says setting boundaries is healthy, even with family, but it feels like I just made everything worse. Like maybe I should have just stayed quiet and let Amber have her perfect wedding. I don't know. I took an extra shift at work to help pay for Emma's glasses. Had to leave the kids with my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patel. She refuses payment, but I try to bring her home-cooked meals when I can afford to make extra. The weirdest thing is, I noticed my mom viewed my Instagram stories of the kids for the first time in months, but she still hasn't called or texted. I'm exhausted. I worked a double shift today and my feet are killing me. I feel both relieved that I finally said something and also terrible that I might have ruined Amber's wedding experience. My phone was dead most of the day, forgot to charge it last night, and I just plugged it in and crawled into bed. Too tired to even check messages. Edit. A lot of people are asking if Trevor knows his fiance's parents are paying for everything. I honestly have no idea. He comes from money, so maybe he assumes this is normal, or maybe he does know and is fine with it. I've only met him a handful of times, and he seems nice enough but kind of clueless about normal people problems. For those suggesting I cut my family off completely, it's not that simple. They're still my parents, and Amber's still my sister. And honestly, having grown up with virtually no extended family, I always wanted my kids to have actual family relationships. Maybe that was naive. Several people asked if I've considered asking for legal help about the child support situation. Yes, I've tried, but the system is so backlogged and my ex keeps losing jobs right when they're about to garnish his wages. I don't have money for a private attorney and the public resources are limited. Now for the second update. Hey Reddit, I literally don't even know where to start. So many of you asked for an update on the whole sister wedding parent situation, so here it is. I woke up yesterday at 5 a.m. to my alarm for work, yay morning shift, and noticed my phone was blowing up with notifications. I had 24 missed calls from the night before. 24. 10 from Amber, 8 from my mom, 4 from my dad, and 2 from Trevor, Amber's fiance, who I've barely spoken to like ever. I started listening to the voicemails, and oh my freaking God, just oh my freaking God. They got progressively worse, more dramatic with each one. The first one from Amber was basically her screaming about how I ruined everything and destroyed her special day and how I was always jealous of her. By her 10th voicemail, she was sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. My mom's messages started with her being super angry. I've literally never heard her this mad before. Then gradually shifted to this weird, pleading tone by the end. My dad's were all just demanding I call them back right now, in that stern voice he used when we were teenagers. And then weirdly, Trevor's messages were super awkward, where he asked me to please talk to Amber before she cancels everything. I couldn't even deal with this mess right away because hello, single mom life. Had to get Emma and Noah ready for school, which was its own drama because Emma lost a tooth last night and the tooth fairy completely forgot to come because I fell asleep on the couch immediately after putting them to bed. Had to slip $1 under her pillow while pretending to check if she was wearing socks, lol. Then had to get to work for my 7 a.m. shift because bills don't pay themselves. Around noon, I got this cryptic text from my cousin Taylor that said, "Oh my freaking God, your parents confronted Amber about the Bachelorette trip ultimatum and the wedding money. Call me as soon as possible." But I was in the middle of a shift and couldn't just drop everything to gossip. I finally managed to call my parents during my lunch break. literally scarfing down a granola bar while hiding in the break room. And holy crap. So apparently, after our conversation the other day, when I confronted them about paying for Amber's entire wedding while refusing to help me with basic necessities, they actually thought about what I said, which never happens, like ever. My parents admitting they might be wrong about something is basically the eighth wonder of the world, but they told me they had a serious talk with Amber and made some major decisions. They said they realized I was right about the different treatment, and they were going to make some changes. I almost dropped my phone. They're basically still paying for a nice wedding for Amber, but scaling it back. No doves, no ice sculptures, no designer dress. They also completely canceled funding for that ridiculous Greece Bachelorette trip and told her they'd pay for a local celebration instead. And then, this is where I actually started crying in the break room, and my coworker Denise thought someone died. They said they're going to start giving me a monthly stipend to help with the kids' expenses, and they're setting up college funds for Emma and Noah. I had such mixed feelings. Like, I'm obviously relieved about getting help for my kids. That's all I really care about, to be honest. But also felt weird about causing all these changes to Amber's wedding. I never actually asked them to do that. I just wanted them to acknowledge the unfairness. Anyway, so I get off work, pick up the kids, get home, and we're barely through the door when there's this aggressive knocking. Open the door, and there's Amber with these red-rimmed eyes and smeared makeup, looking like she's been crying for hours. She immediately accused me of ruining everything and asked if I was happy about it. I invited her in and offered her some tea, which she completely ignored. She started pacing around my tiny living room, listing all the wedding things she now has to cancel. The custom-engraved champagne glasses, the string quartet, the rose petal cannon, the private fireworks display. I mean, seriously, who needs all that crap? I tried explaining super calmly that I never asked for her wedding to be scaled back. I just wanted Mom and Dad to acknowledge how they've always favored her and maybe help me a little with my actual life struggles. She basically accused me of playing the victim and that it worked perfectly for me. That's when I kind of lost it a little and pointed out that I've been struggling while she's been pretending she and Trevor were paying for everything themselves. Like, the dishonesty is what really gets me. She admitted that she and Trevor could technically contribute more to the wedding costs, but claimed it was about the principle. I asked her about threatening to ban me from the wedding just because I couldn't afford her ridiculous bachelorette party, and she just deflected by saying, I always make everything about my kids. Right then, Emma walked in asking for help with her math homework and froze when she saw us arguing. The look on her face, ugh. I tried to introduce them casually, but Amber barely even looked at her niece. I told Amber we needed to pause until after the kids went to bed, and she just stormed out, saying our family would never be the same. Our extended family has basically split into camps now. My parents are suddenly trying to make amends with me. Some of my aunts and uncles are saying I should have kept quiet about family finances. Sorry for wanting to be treated fairly, I guess. And most of my cousins are basically on my side. Mom and Dad came to visit my apartment this weekend. It was the first time they'd been here in almost 2 years, despite living only 30 minutes away. You should have seen their faces looking around, seeing the pull-out couch I sleep on, so each kid can have their own tiny bedroom, the mismatched furniture, the budget sheet I keep on the fridge. It was like they were seeing my actual life for the first time. We had this whole emotional conversation where they finally acknowledged the favoritism and apologized, though my mom still kind of missed the point when she asked why I didn't just tell them things were this bad. Like, I have been, for years, literally begging for help. 3 days ago, Amber sent me this super tense text, basically saying I could come to the wedding without going to the now local bachelorette party. She ended it by saying she was doing this for Mom and Dad, not for me. Whatever, I'll take it. My parents already sent the first month's stipend, and I was able to buy Emma's glasses. She needed them so bad, her teacher said she's been squinting for months, and pay for Noah's field trip. We even had enough left over for takeout pizza, which we haven't had in literally months. The kids were so excited. It's weird seeing their reactions when I explained Grandma and Grandpa would be visiting more often. Noah was bouncing off the walls excited, but Emma, who's always been more perceptive, just looked at me and asked why they care now. Kids notice everything, I swear. I have such mixed feelings about everything. My relationship with Amber is definitely damaged, but maybe more honest now. My parents are making efforts, but years of patterns don't change overnight. My priority was always making sure my kids' needs are met, and at least that's happening now. And I've seen which family members actually support me versus who just wants to sweep problems under the rug. I'm still not sure if I'll go to Amber's wedding in 2 months. Part of me wants to accept the olive branch, but the other part is still really hurt by everything. And yeah, the financial support helps, but all the emotional stuff is way more complicated. I've got another double shift tomorrow, so I should probably try to sleep. My back is killing me from this pull-out couch. I didn't expect all this drama when I first posted here, but I guess sometimes things need to blow up before they can get better. Edit. Wow, woke up to so many comments again. Thanks for all the support. To those asking if I've told Amber how I feel about everything, I've tried, but she keeps cutting me off or changing the subject. I think she needs more time to process everything, or maybe she'll just never get it. I don't know. Several people have pointed out that I should be careful about becoming financially dependent on my parents given their history of unreliability. Trust me, I'm already thinking about this. The stipend helps right now, but I'm still working on my night classes to get a better job long term. And I've started setting some of it aside in case they suddenly change their minds. For everyone saying I should have just kept the peace, I tried that for years, and look where it got me. Skipping meals so my kids could eat while my sister gets doves and fireworks. Sometimes you have to speak up, even when it's hard. The person who asked about Emma's reaction to her grandparents, yeah, it broke my heart too. She's only 8, but already so aware of who shows up for her and who doesn't. Noah's 5, so he's more easily excited about grandparent visits without remembering the long absences. I'm trying to protect them from the worst of the adult drama while still being honest in an age-appropriate way.